Blow in her face and she'll follow you anywhere.
You are destroying the Constitution of the United States. May God have mercy on your souls.
Good day.
Yes.
Sir, I say. Good day.
We could be saved if we just elected the right white man to power.
That's creepy, but that's in a different category of creepy.
Zit-zoo, zit-zoo, zit-zoo.
Gary Gygax. Of course he introduced zoning laws.
Okay.
You know what? Don't.
Yeah.
The less I have to do with that game, the better.
Here's my favorite part of the defense. Claudius was probably fucking his sister.
Jughead, not Jarhead. I have nothing against Marines. I want to make that very clear. I'd be really interested to find out what fucking truth that woman was trying to get at.
Like with most episodes, I can bring it back to wrestling. Oh. Right, well, he's got other people who work for him who also do things, and they can transmutate human size into smaller worlds, after all.
Fuck you.
I still don't give a shit about getting fake property in a fantasy game.
My name is Ed Blaylock. I'm a world history and remedial reading teacher here in Northern California, and the father of a 2-year-old boy who has now officially entered the obsessed with dinosaurs phase. So he knows Tyrannosaurus, he knows Stegosaurus, he can almost say Triceratops.
Nice.
And he just discovered, and through him, I just discovered the anime series Dinosaur King, which is like Pokemon with dinosaurs.
Okay.
And I don't know if I hate it, or if I'm obsessed with it, or both. Because it's not like, I mean, I'm not ever going to be able to watch an anime series without getting all pointy-headed and nerdy and like metacritical about it ever again. Like doing this podcast has ruined me for being able to do that. Just now I'm just looking at it going, oh, I see that trope, and that's I've seen that before in And there is so much in that series to unpack from so many different places within the genre that it's just like, wow. And while I'm busy staring at it because that my son is just, dinosaurs like fighting, and it's amazing. And so my wife is staring at both of us like, you're both idiots. Why? What? He's 2. He has an excuse.
Right.
What is
What's
yours?
yours?
Like, oh my God. How did I get stuck with this much testosterone in my house? So that's what my life looks like right now. How about you?
Well, I'm Damian Harmony. I'm a Latin teacher up here in Northern California at a distance. I am the father of an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. 10-year-old has started telling jokes. 8-year-old has been telling jokes for a while. We have moved past the dinosaur phase.
So it's genetic condition, is what you're saying.
I think it's more nurture than nature.
Okay.
Yeah. So they've got me as their exemplar. So
yeah.
He has been choosing mid-trilogy movies to watch for Star Wars lately, which has been really kind of interesting. I don't quite know why, but he's been enjoying that.
Okay, stop. When you say mid-trilogy,
sure,
like Empire and the second movie, the prequels, or like, what do you mean by mid?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So like, we did Empire. Actually, he did have us watch Sith, Revenge of the Sith, but then he had us watch Empire, and then he also had us watch The Force Awakens. No, the second one, the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
He had us watch that. It's just kind of interesting to see where he goes with it. But he also, in so doing, he has really started to notice, like when Chewbacca is picking up C-3PO's body parts, he noticed IG-88 just sitting there by the incinerator and stuff like that. So he's really picking up on those details.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat.
Oh yeah.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and she has been just feverishly creating worlds. Like I'm looking at a stack of papers that I'm going to tell her you need to organize these when she comes home tomorrow. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
very cool.
You also, just for kicks, I will report this to you because this will disappoint you. We watched the first episode of Thundercats, which is on Hulu.
Okay.
And both of my kids asked me, they're like, "Do you like this very much?" And I was like, "No, kind of don't. What do you guys think?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, it's a little slow." And basically, we all came to the same conclusion: it's slow and plodding, and it's best left unwatched. Again, I think that you will not think that it aged well.
Here's the deal. Yeah. I know for a fact. I'm gonna think if I go back and watch it, and now that you've said this, it's schmuck bait, and I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. I know it will not have aged well. I know just from my memory that it was all immensely formulaic.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to care.
Okay.
And the reason is because I am a sucker. I am an absolute sucker for the atmosphere.
Okay.
That's involved.
Okay.
In that anything. How to put it? It's like this could be our world many thousands of years in the future. This could be some mythical world of ours many thousands of years in the past. Any kind of setting that starts from that premise is automatically going to get an awful lot of leeway from me.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
And so like. And I blame Tolkien because it's all Middle Earth all over again.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is we saw that and we're disappointed. What I recommend for you, though, given that your child is 2.5?
Yes.
All right. There's a cartoon called Dino Saucers.
Okay.
Dinosaurs in space.
Oh shit.
Yes.
Okay.
So
that might be trouble.
You are welcome.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I said thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna email you a link right now on the YouTubes. You can probably find it. Yep. Yeah. You are quite welcome. So while I'm queuing that up for you, what are you gonna talk to us about today?
Bastard. Well, we're gonna continue talking about Batman.
Ooh.
We're gonna keep talking about Batman. So my thesis was Bruce Wayne is what liberal comic book writers in 1939 wished billionaires were.
Yes.
And Batman in 1939 is kind of what I wish more billionaires were, frankly.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos has all that fucking money. He could be Batman. What's he doing with it? Like, come on. Like, really? So, all right. And I just got your message here. So I'm going to ignore that though, because I have a convenient excuse not to look at it. Oh God, please. And, so where we left off was, kind of talking about the roots of the character, talking about who were his bad guys, who what was the milieu he was operating in. And so here's the thing. The reason
is in Marvel.
Nice.
You're
Nice,
thinking
nice.
of Clayface.
Ever-loving thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Not yet. I'm not thinking of Clayface. It doesn't show up for a year or two yet.
God, what gets me is that all those villains are so fucking old. Like they were right in the beginning. Like a lot of them lasted.
You don't know.
You're right. I don't.
So here's the thing. Not Ben Grimm, but the object of my statement. Why is Batman a millionaire?
Inherited
narratively.
Money.
Well, okay, but narratively, why does he have to be a billionaire?
I think it gets you to the Doc Savage competency thing. If he doesn't have access to tons and tons of funds, then you have to explain in a different way how he got to be the way he was.
Very good. Yes. And he's a gadget hero.
Need money to keep up, and
you need so through comic book hand wavium.
Well,
he's a billionaire. He's one of these days I'm going to somehow force push you through the internet to force you to look up TV tropes, because there's so much shorthand I use that I'm totally I'm just stealing whole cloth from there.
Gotcha.
Because it's so easy. It's like you always talk about, I'm going to paint with a broad brush because it saves time. I'm going to steal this term from TV tropes because it fits so well, and it saves me having to come up with something original. It's the same diff. So, but the thing is, you say, well, he's a billionaire, playboy. Automatically that means, well, he has all the money.
Right.
And I mean, there have been people in the modern era who've gone through and broken down, how rich does Bruce Wayne actually have to be?
$6.8 billion at last count.
Something like that, yeah.
And in order to fully fund from scratch to full on Batmanism, $3.5 million.
Well, there you go.
So yeah.
But of course, if you're writing a comic book, you don't have to crunch those numbers.
True.
Because you're just telling a story, right? So all right, well, he's a billionaire, and that pays for the utility belt and the gas capsules and the I'm trying to think, the grappling hooks and the gas masks and the batarangs, the bat gyro. By the way, the first bat aircraft was an autogyro, which as the son of a civil aviator is nerd squee all over. Yeah, the bat gyro, the Batmobile, all of that shit appeared in Detective Comics in the first few issues of Batman's existence.
Does Batman ever have a child?
Well, okay,
he does. Because I remember
Damian Wayne.
Yeah, he was named after me.
Yes.
Yes. But that's
or
right.
The Omen, one of the two.
Right.
But yeah.
So, question for you: when his son is in the crib, does he hang a bunch of little versions of his car over his son while he's sleeping?
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Time check.
11:41.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. You've done worse.
I've
done
much worse.
Okay. That's a good. See that one. I'll give you.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm not. I ain't even mad. So
anyway,
he
has a gyro.
All of this stuff. Yeah. So he has all this stuff because he can pay for it because he's a billionaire. In high school, a buddy of mine with ambitions to be a genre writer actually tried to think about, okay, no, seriously, if a working class dude wanted to try to be a vigilante, what would that be? And he kind of tried to deconstruct it. And he got a couple of chapters into what he was writing, and he was like, I can't keep it going anymore because it just gets too depressing.
Well, that's kind of what Peter Parker was.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And he can't. Luckily, he can still fall back on Aunt May.
Well, one, he can fall back on Aunt May, and remember that Spidey has the fallback of he does in fact actually have there are some superhuman abilities.
Good point.
In his wheelhouse, he can climb up. He can climb stuff. He can do about the only pieces of tech he relies on canonically are his web shooters. And the thing is that gets hand waved because he's a high school science genius.
Yeah, he has a chemistry set at home.
Yeah.
And he makes something.
What exotic shit does he have in that chemistry set? And he's able to do synthetic spider silk. He's not only a genius.
Yeah, with the tensile strength that it can actually hold Ben Grimm's arms to his sides, and then dissolves into nothingness after an hour.
Yeah.
Like, wow. That's
like,
something.
holy shit. Here's the deal. This is
come on. The one time
those...
you could have and you don't say, here's the thing.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
All
well
right.
done.
So anyway.
Well done. But like, that's a great example of, so, okay, seriously, if you have developed that, why are you spending your time chasing muggers? Because we are talking about Peter Parker, who does in fact chase muggers. That's part of his raison d'etre. Why are you chasing muggers when you could be making billions of dollars in material science and then using that money to fund whatever the fuck you want to?
Right.
Yeah. Like, wait. Let's look at how, because people talk about, okay, if Batman has enough money to be Batman, why doesn't he, improve the schools in Gotham?
Right. Set up a jobs program.
Which, depending on which writer is doing it, he often also does.
Okay.
To be fair.
Okay.
A lot of that depends on the writer. Sure. Frank Miller makes him a lot more of a dick than some other writers have, because it's Frank Miller,
right?
Who, I'm just gonna say it, Frank Miller, who is a dick. And yeah, okay, whoever you are out on the internet, don't at me with your stories of, no, man, I met him in a con and he was awesome. No, look at what he writes. He's a dick. Like, no, come on. I'm going to stand by that statement. And if I meet the man in person, I may wind up having to, confront that, but whatever. I'm never going to. So I feel confident I'm not going to have to, face consequences for saying that. But getting back to talking about Bruce Wayne, so the whole reason that he is a rich guy is because he's, a competent man hero and he's a gadget hero. And in order to do that without being a super being, you have to have money. That's
true.
At the beginning of his mythos, his fortune really is his superpower, because it's the root of his ability to do all of the other stuff that he does. And it's one thing to say, okay, well, it'll cost you $3.2 million to go from zero to, the Batmobile and all the widgets. But then, if you own a really, really amazingly high performance mil-spec vehicle, you don't just own that thing. You have to maintain that thing.
Right.
And
that thing is not operating to make you money.
No,
it's operating at a loss.
It is a net loss. Everything Batman does is a net loss. So and again, this kind of goes back to my thesis from last time. The overtones that we get nowadays of, well, he's this privileged rich guy who goes out and beats up on poor people and the mentally ill. Originally, the reason he was a millionaire was so he could be a crime fighter. Okay. If you get what I'm saying. It was a narrative means to an end.
Yeah.
And he, the dual identity bit was part of the character, and was, well, he plays the upper class twit during the day to throw people off of his trail, the same way that Clark Kent is a nebbish, so people don't suspect that he's Superman. Is the same kind of thing. And then I really want to spend some time talking about the villains that he goes up against.
Okay.
In the first year and a half, 2 years of his existence. So and this is also going to lead to kind of another segue. So you remember, hopefully from last episode, Bob Kane came up with this idea. I'm going to do a bat guy, right? And he's going to have these wings.
Right.
And this is kind of what I got, and I don't have a lot else. And he invited Bill Finger over, and he said, okay, take a look at this. Tell me what you think. And Bill Finger basically made him into what we know as Batman.
Right.
Well, then, Bill Finger is responsible for creating Bruce Wayne's tragic backstory.
Mm-hmm.
That whole plot was Bill Finger's idea. And in the second Batman story, the second villain that Batman goes up against is a jewel thief, the leader of a gang of jewel thieves named Frenchie Blake.
Okay.
Who, and I'm going to push back against what you were saying yesterday a little bit, not entirely, because you do have a point, but there's a little bit of pushback here. Frenchie Blake is a very, very, very waspy-looking dude.
Sure.
Upper class looking jewel thief type, who is the second villain that Batman defeats.
All right.
Now, the first super villain that Batman goes up against is Dr. Death in Detective Comics number 29.
Okay, so not the professional wrestler from Texas, Steve Williams.
No.
Technically
No.
from Oklahoma, but so not that guy.
No.
Okay.
It doesn't surprise me at all that there's a guy in wrestling with that moniker. But yeah.
He got that nickname when he was in football, though, not when he was a wrestler. Like, it carried over.
How the fuck do you get the name Dr. Death playing football?
You smash the shit out of anybody because you're a defensive lineman.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, he fucked people up. Or maybe he was an offensive lineman. Either way, he fucked people up.
Period lineman. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So, yeah, but that was Dr. Death, Steve Williams. Producer George grew up rather enjoying that guy as a wrestler. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he fights Batman.
Yeah. So this guy, Dr. Death, is a mad scientist.
Mm-hmm.
He is the first, super villain archetype bad guy that Batman goes up against. And he develops a toxin from plant pollen that he somehow uses to try to extort rich citizens of Gotham. He actually winds up killing one of them, only to find out that by overhearing the dead man's widow, he finds out that the guy had lost his fortune in the Depression. So worth noting as part of the backstory of the creation of this whole mythos. And so Dr. Death appears to die in issue 29.
Mm-hmm.
He and his South Asian Indian henchmen both appear to die when the warehouse he's using as his lair catches on fire. But he winds up showing back up in issue 30.
Mm-hmm.
Kept wanting to say episode 30. He shows up in issue 30, very heavily disfigured and really looking super villainous. Looks kind of like Red Skull, only burned.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the first time that we see the super villain kind of archetype. But it's interesting to note that he's a super villain, but he's still doing pretty kind of mundane crook kind of stuff. At the end of the day, it's an extortion racket that Batman winds up beating.
Okay.
Over the course of the story. In 30, he winds up being thoroughly defeated and is dead and remarkably stays dead.
Mm-hmm.
The Mad Monk shows up in issue 31. He's Batman's first supernatural villain. He's a vampire.
Oh.
And he actually tries to kidnap and turn Bruce Wayne's fiance.
So Bruce Wayne's already engaged.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that character disappears somewhere over the course of canon.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting to note that because at this point in the storyline, Batman is not enough of an obsessive, brooding, negative Nancy that he doesn't have a fiance. He has a relationship. He is, he is attached enough to this woman that he winds up going to Hungary to rescue her from the clutches of the Mad Monk. And so there's this legitimate kind of Bruce Wayne has a love life kind of story, which you hear about that now and you're like, wait, and it's not Catwoman, like that's not some other.
It's not somebody who's wildly troubled like he is.
Yeah, it's not somebody desperately damaged, sadomaso, schizo in a rubber suit like him. Okay, and now I have to segue. My best friend in college, one of his buddies, or a couple of his buddies in high school, made a fan film, massively low budget camcorder kind of thing. One of them had actually managed to get a hold of a cowl reproduction of the Burton movie, the first Burton movie, Batman cowl.
Right.
And they had to do something with it, so they made a fan film in which Batman and Catwoman, meet up, and their back and forth involves the phrase of Batman saying, "Well, basically I'm a sadomaso schizo in a rubber suit," and that encapsulation of the modern incarnation of Batman has stuck with me ever since I first heard that story. So yeah. So at this point in Bruce Wayne somehow has a normal enough daytime existence that he has a fiance. Like to us in the modern era of Batman, that's like, and it's not Selena Kyle,
right?
And it's not, I'm trying to remember who else. There have been a couple in recent comic book history.
Oh, I've got a bit of a Rouge's gallery, if you will.
Nice.
Thank you. When we get to the movies, because it becomes a major plot point for most of the movies.
Oh yeah.
Because the movies are, well, I won't spoil it.
Yeah,
I won't spoil a movie that's 30 plus years old.
By all means. So, won't spoil the conversation for when we get there. Yeah. So, and it's also worth noting that the Mad Monk also has a henchwoman named Dala, who is a werewolf, and she's the first super villainess in Batman's history.
Okay.
And now, so far, every one of these villains that I'm mentioning winds up coming to a very bad end. This is, of course, pre-Comics Code Authority.
Right.
And so Batman's villains tended to die. And Batman didn't ever intentionally murder any of them. But when he punched them and they fell off of a roof, he didn't immediately dive to grab them to save them.
Sure. Again, this is pre-CCA.
Yeah. And so throughout the 40s, what I find interesting about kind of the overarching tone of all of this is that throughout the 40s, Batman comics were consistently noir. They were four-color comics, but they were dark four-color comics.
Well, keep in mind they came from detective comics, correct?
Yeah.
The hard-boiled detective, the film noir detective, there's some bleeding over that happens with that. And so I think that we're seeing elements of that.
Oh, we totally are.
Yeah.
I think that's It's not so much a matter. My emphasis on this isn't so much a matter of my own surprise, as it is. I think it's really important to note because again, in our modern era of Batman, every incarnation of Batman that we have seen. Certainly in our lives, you and me, has been some kind of response to Adam West.
Yes,
and I think we've talked about this.
I will be speaking to that when I get to the movies. Yes, absolutely.
And the Comics Code Authority, as we talked about way back in season 1, wound up having a profound effect on the character of, particularly of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Superman was always a Boy Scout. Superman was always the better angels of our nature. Superman was always the Apollonian sunlight figure.
Yes.
Batman was a vengeful agent of harsh justice and punishment. And in the modern era of Batman, he has come back around to that with a vengeance.
Yes.
From being, the campy, 60s figure into what happened in the 70s, into the 80s, and etc.
Right.
And in the films.
Well, the campy 60s figure, though, was a direct result of the CCA.
Oh,
yeah. They were all de-noirified.
They were all defanged.
Yes.
Everybody had their claws pulled.
Yeah.
And so these early comics have a lot of death. They have a lot of real seediness, and it's a theme I'm gonna continue coming back to.
Mm-hmm.
So I mentioned this in the last episode, but this is where it actually shows up in my notes. In Batman number 47, which comes around, this is a number of years forward in the timeline, but it's kind of important to mention here. He encounters Joe Chill, the mugger who killed his parents, and this is where we learn Joe Chill's name.
Okay.
And in the original pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths origin story, because DC can't maintain canon to save their fucking lives. But anyway, in the original origin story, Bruce memorized the mugger's face in that moment after his parents had been shot. The man's face was seared on his brain in very Doc Savage kind of language. And so when he re-encounters Joe Chill isn't a low-level mugger anymore. He's a gang leader. He has moved up to now being the head of a criminal organization, a group.
Okay.
And so Batman confronts him, and he says something to Chill about the night that you killed Jonathan Wayne, and Chill says you can't know that, and he says, no, I know that because I'm the son of the man you murdered, and he actually winds up giving away his identity to Chill. Well, Chill gets away from him and runs back to his gang, and in the process of telling the members of his gang what happened, he basically let slip to the gang that he's the one responsible for creating the Batman, and his own men gun him down before they realize, hey, wait a minute, you know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And so they shoot him, and he's mortally wounded, and the goons are surrounding him, and they're trying to get the information out of him. Who is he? And then, Batman shows up and knocks them all unconscious, and then Chill dies in his arms, telling him, well, I guess you got your vengeance in the end, Batman. And he in that moment, he answers, no, Bruce Wayne got his revenge.
Okay.
It is the closing coda for that little episode. So, again, vengeance. I am vengeance. I am the night is, the line from the cartoon series from the 1990s, which, long may its memory be blessed.
Which actually is a line from the original script for the, I almost said Buster Keaton.
Michael Keaton?
Yeah, or Diane Keaton. Whatever.
Diane Keaton.
Alex P. Keaton. But anyway, it was originally...
I'm just picturing Diane Keaton in
the little vest, like from a Woody Allen movie.
Yeah. And the eccentric kind of haircut and the glasses. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. But that line was actually originally in the script. I am the Knight. It's like, what are you? And he's like, I am the Knight. But instead he said, I'm Batman.
Batman.
So kind of interesting that shows up in the yeah.
So it's worth. Yeah, cross pollination is a remarkable thing. And again, and now this is we're jumping ahead here. This is 1948, and again, the people he's fighting aren't the mentally ill in this case, and they're not, desperate low-level muggers. It is again a criminal syndicate, a gang of people who he's taking down, who, one individual, yeah. Anyway, going back to my, this is what we wish, rich people were doing with their money instead of whatever it is they're actually doing.
Right.
And so then now backtracking back to the earlier in his timeline.
What rich people were doing with their money prior to Batman coming out were trying to do a coup d'etat on the American government.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Only a few years earlier.
30
I want to say 34.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because it was FDR's second year in. So, yeah, 34.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just a... Yes. Batman...
Was it Smedley? I'm remembering it was Smedley Butler, right?
Smedley Butler.
Yeah. War is a racket.
Yep. God, he's got such an interesting story. Like, that needs to be a biopic, because he spent so many years. He even said, "I spent 34 years being a warrior for colonialism." What a racket, basically. So.
Oh yeah.
But what do you call it? Yeah. So yes, we very much wish that rich people were doing something other than that with their money.
Yeah.
But that's what they were doing.
Yeah. So Hugo Strange shows up in DC number 36.
Okay.
In February of 1940. This is another mad scientist. And so he shows up in 36, and then I don't remember if it was 37 or 38, but an episode or two, an issue or two later, after Batman takes him down and, hands him over to the authorities, he's the first Batman villain to escape from an asylum.
All right.
And now it's interesting to me that Hugo Strange is not, in his original appearance, he's not insane. He is megalomaniacal. He is a sociopath, but he's not criminally insane. And for whatever reason, the writers decided that when they needed him to escape from somewhere, it was, well, he's escaping from the city asylum. It wasn't named Arkham yet.
Okay.
Arkham was not part of the mythos yet in 40. But that's the first time we start seeing the idea that, these people are not right in the head showing up. Okay. So when he first appeared, though, he wasn't crazy. He was evil, Now in spring of 1940, Batman got his own title. Now he continued appearing in Detective Comics, but now he had his appearances in Detective Comics, and there was a Batman comic book. And in Batman #1. One of the stories in Batman #1 was the introduction of Catwoman.
Okay.
In 40. And she was introduced, presumably Bruce Wayne's earlier fiance has, somehow been shuffled off stage. And Selina Kyle, Catwoman, shows up. And Finger and Kane basically both in interviews said that they introduced the character to introduce a romantic interest, to give the comic some sex appeal, and to attract female readers. The naivete of comic book writers never ceases to amaze me.
It's true with movie producers too, just so as you know.
We'll
get to that.
So when we get to talking about the TV series, I think, Batgirl is a meaningful example of, well, we want to add a female character to increase female, to get women interested. And okay, so because Batgirl is a heroine and she kicks ass and, girl power. And okay, so I mean, I can understand why a girl would be interested in watching an episode that has Batgirl in it. Why a girl or a woman would be drawn to the comic because of Catwoman, who is admittedly not evil, but is still an antagonist, a villainous. Like, where do you get the idea that, a Jean Harlow, look-alike villainous is going to increase female readership? Like, what's the... Like, I freely admit that I am not any kind of expert on the female mind, but that doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Sure. Yeah, I think that it's one of those. Batman is a male fantasy.
Okay.
And Catwoman is a female male fantasy. And so therefore, boys like Batman, girls will like Catwoman.
It's as surely as the sun rises in the east,
right?
Obviously, yeah. Okay, I guess that makes sense in a certain, you really don't understand how representation works, do you, kind of way. But okay,
yeah, it's a. I don't want to say lazy. I do think they were doing the best they could. They just didn't have women working with them in the workplace at that time as people in the bullpen doing the art or
the writing or the editing, or
like women were frozen out. So it's very similar to when I taught comic books a few years back. God, that was forever ago. But when I taught comic books, I did an entire week on African Americans or just black, because T'Challa is not American. But I did an entire week on black superheroes, and I was like, look, here's Luke Cage, here's Power Man. I said, keep in mind, at the time, pretty woke, but it's still two white guys writing what they think black guys are.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're seeing there is two guys writing what they think a woman would want to be based on what they know a man wants to be.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I can see that. And so I want to note here. So let's see. I've mentioned Bruce Wayne's backstory, the utility belt, batarangs, all of Batman's gadgets, the design of his costume, Dr. Death, Mad Monk, Joe Chill, Hugo Strange. So far, all of that has been Bill Finger's ideas. Bill Finger.
It's interesting because I don't really hear about him much.
Not Bob Kane. No, you don't hear about him very much, because Bob Kane was the one who went in and had the talk with the editors about the contract and got his name put on everything as the creator of Batman. And Bill Finger wound up dying of long-term illness and essentially in paupery in I don't remember what year, without having gotten anywhere near the share of credit he deserved for his part in the creation of Batman. And like practically every member of the Rogues Gallery, notably Catwoman, was mostly Kane's idea. I bring all of that up because in my notes, for once, this was an idea that was mostly Kane's.
Okay.
And that also brings us, because now we're talking about Batman issue number 1. And I know this is something we're going to be talking about a lot when we get to talking about the TV show and the movies. Because the name has already come up a couple of times, especially in the Nolan films. The Joker. The Joker shows up in Batman number 1 as well. And there is no consensus about who was most responsible for the character of the Joker.
Okay.
Kane and Finger, of course, were, the two main creators of most everything. But let's see, I've got it written down here somewhere. But the artist at the time, because they needed another artist to do Batman because Kane was doing the Detective Comics stuff, so they needed another artist to come in. Oh man, I was looking it up earlier and somehow I can't find it in my notes right now. But so it could be the Joker is Kane's, because Kane basically Kane is in a hurry to take credit for like fucking everything. Finger basically took credit for part of the visual inspiration for the character, because he heard in his story, Kane mentioned that, hey, Jerry Robinson is the artist. That Kane said, hey, Jerry and I have this idea for this villain. What do you think? And he wound up, Finger, that is, wound up being inspired by that to find a photo of the actor Conrad Veidt as the character Gwynplaine in the movie The Man Who Laughs from 1928. And in that film, the idea of the character is this fellow who winds up suffering an injury, and he has surgery that permanently alters his face so that his face is constantly stuck in this rictus of a grin that he can't stop doing. And I'm looking at the photo of it right now. I don't know how well this will translate, but
it totally does.
Yeah,
I've seen that. Yeah,
and I'm now showing this virtually, of course, over the internet to Damian. It is disturbing. Like,
yeah. I mean,
it really is remarkable.
It has overtones of German expressionism. Like, that's how outboard it is.
Yeah. And so Jerry Robinson says that he drew a sketch of a Joker card, from a deck of cards that was the original inspiration for the character. And Kane has a different story about, who came up with the idea first. So we don't actually know. For once, Kane did not try to say, no, it was all my idea, but he leaned in that direction. But in this case, it was both Finger and Robinson saying, well, it wasn't all him. Right. And so we don't really know who of the trio, of the triumvirate, we don't know who was responsible for mostly for the creation of the character.
So Joker's origin is largely unknown.
Yep.
That's cool.
That's
really
cool.
Because art really totally imitates art there.
Yeah, totally. And so the thing is, so he shows up in Batman #1, and Robinson got interviewed in 1975, and Robinson was in that interview saying this was my idea. So the way it's phrased is gonna reflect that. But Robinson basically said that he wanted to have a character who was going to be a Moriarty to Batman's Holmes.
Makes sense.
And what I find important about that is we're still looking at Batman as the world's greatest detective. It's still in the Detective Comics roots.
Okay.
And so the Joker was intended to be smart, resourceful, and utterly and completely depraved and evil.
Right.
In his first appearances, he was, no kidding, a complete psychopath. Although they didn't have the vocabulary for it then, he was a serial killer. Okay. And he, unlike most of Batman's antagonists, he did not use a gun because they wanted to stress the fact that he was more creative, he was more intelligent, he was more resourceful.
Gotcha. And so therefore more terrifying.
and therefore scarier.
Yeah.
And so his original weapon of choice was Joker toxin, which was introduced in Batman issue #1. Okay, that killed people and left their faces in this horrible rictus grin kind of condition. Now Finger liked the idea, said, "Yeah, this guy's great. This is awesome." Finger did not want the Joker to stick around. Finger wanted the Joker to die.
Interesting.
And the way the second, because there were 2 Joker stories, there was a part 1 and part 2 in Batman #1, and in the second one of those stories, Finger wrote it originally with the Joker dead, but their editor Whitney Ellsworth insisted on a panel being added at the end of it to show the Joker had survived.
Very Moriarty,
and the reason Finger didn't want him to survive was having a recurring villain made Batman look incompetent.
Yeah.
Which goes back to what one of the points that came up in our last episode talking about incompetence of the police. Like, and has been something that critics of Batman have pointed out ever since, is like, okay, no, look, seriously, you keep throwing him in the asylum, he keeps escaping, and he keeps literally killing people. Like, ethically, your whole "I will not kill" thing is now a moral failing, because every time you refuse to do that, he's gonna get loose and he's gonna kill somebody. So, like, where is the ethical balance there? So, and that's where it's rooted. Finger originally wanted the Joker to die, and the editor went, no.
Too iconic.
We can do shit with this.
Right.
So, and so one of the things Robinson said about the Joker was he wanted a villain who was going to be in direct contrast to the gang leaders and crime lords who were more frequent Batman antagonists. And again, this goes back to my original thesis about, gang lords, criminals, the mafia influence on the milieu, and who it was that the writers and the audience of Batman wanted to see being brought to justice. And so now this is we want to have a villain who can actually challenge this guy, who isn't just going to be a mook of the week. And so that's the origin of the Joker. And I think with that development, that puts in motion a whole host of other things.
Yes.
That accrete over time, that get glommed onto the myth, that become part of the mythology over time, that change the character of who he was originally. And so kind of put a pin in the Joker for now, because it's going to show up again later on, both when I'm talking about the comics and, of course, when you start talking about films.
Right.
Now, in Detective Comics #38, Robin shows up. So this is, I want to say spring 40, might be fall 40. And the original idea, again, Robin, was Bill Finger's idea.
Okay.
Another one.
Now, in fairness, everybody had a goddamn sidekick in the 40s.
Nope.
No?
Not 1940. Robin was the first one.
He was the first. Really? Okay.
Robin is the example.
Okay. I take it back. Because I was thinking of Bucky when Cap came around. So, like, in that genre, in that time, you had teenagers. But, like you just said, Robin was the first. So everybody's kind of bouncing off of Robin.
Yeah, and this is again an example of where we started talking about this last episode.
Right.
That Batman is one of the archetypes, and the Batman comics are responsible for so many of these archetypes.
Sure.
And so Robin shows up in Detective Comics 38, and Finger wanted to introduce the character because Batman is the world's greatest detective, but when he's working solo, he doesn't have anybody to talk to. So it's a lot harder for the writer to explain what his deductive process is,
unless he's got a mentee,
unless he's got a mentee or a Watson figure, a partner who he can be like, well, I figured it out because obviously, the cane, he's carrying a cane, so obviously he's wounded somehow. He's got this thing, and I've spotted that because his left shoe was more heavily worn than his right one, and I knew about the dog because the cane shows wear here, and here, and here, and the dirt on his cuff of his jeans shows that he was
right,
all of that stuff. All of those kind of Watsonian, or not Watsonian, those Holmesian kind of details. You need to have a foil to tell that stuff to, and so we have Robin. And Robin's origin, of course, is Dick Grayson of the Flying Graysons, and his origin involves mob boss Tony Zuko, and it's only after our conversation. Only after you pointed out that I realized, wow, that's really Italian, isn't it?
That's not just Italian. Wow. That's what people would have called Italian. Like, that's how badly like stereotypical it is.
Yeah, Tony Zuko.
Yeah. Like, he would have been in the shop helping Danny in Greece. Like, with that name.
Yeah. And so originally he starts out just being Boss Zuko, but later on we find out his first name is Anthony, Tony. And Zuko kills Dick's family as part of an extortion plot against the Haley Circus. And so again, the antagonists we're looking at are, mundane. It is once again a mundane crime lord. Clayface and Puppet Master both appear in 1940 as well.
Wait. I want to go back just a little bit.
Okay.
Robin, in some ways, then, is like a blend of Dickensian and Horatio Alger meets comic books. You're down on your luck. Things aren't good. You're orphaned.
That's way Dickens.
Yeah. But also Horatio Alger, because like through his goodness, he is helped by a rich benefactor.
Oh, wow. Wow, and there's a whole shit ton to unpack there when we talk about Horatio Alger too. Jeez, and Dickens, but more Alger.
Yeah. Alger was much more specific. Dickens was more genre.
Dickens was more genre, and at his heart, Dickens was his era's version of a bleeding heart liberal.
He's showing everything.
We wouldn't have a Christmas Story if he weren't a bleeding heart liberal.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had not. Wow. Yeah, no, you're totally right though. Yeah. And so when we're talking about Robin, it's kind of it's worth pointing out that when we get to the CCA and all of that, one of the complaints that was specific, Batman was a big target of. I don't have his name in front of me right now. The one who wrote the book. Kefauver really had a mad on about the Batman comics.
Oh wait, are you talking about the guy who actually, the psychiatrist who wrote about juvenile delinquency? Yeah. Because Kefauver was the senator who was railing against it. But
Anyway, Seduction of the Innocent, and I'm a beer in at this point, so I'm having a hard time remembering. But
Seduction of the Innocent. Frederick Worthen.
Thank you. I knew it was. I wanted to say Werther, but I was like, no, that's the candy. Worthen. A lot more bitter. A lot more bitter than Werther.
Less variety too.
Less. That's good.
Thank you.
No, Worthen like had a mad on for Batman specifically, because I think to Worthen, Batman represented the quote unquote worst of the superhero genre and the detective comic genre.
Sure.
because it was dark and grim and awful, and crime lords and grittiness and murder and all this stuff. And one of the things that he accused the Batman comics of doing was, and he also he kind of said the same thing about Bucky and any other sidekicks, but he picked on Batman because Batman was the first one to do it. That the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson was was obviously homosexual, and it was insinuating homosexuality into the minds of youth. And it was the 50s, and people didn't understand that, like, no, man, if you're gay, you're going to be gay. And if you're not even going to pick up on it. Like,
I mean, that was at the time where you had the mental hygiene videos, and there was one called The Homosexual. And I remember very clearly deep voice guy saying, "One never knows when the homosexual is about."
Really?
Yeah. And
oh shit! I gotta look that up.
Yeah, it was, oh Jesus, it was a
That's
tour de
awful.
force of fucked upness. Yeah. It's this kid cuts school, and he like kind of climbs through a chain link fence, and he's down under the boardwalk and having a good time, and an older man kind of shows up, fedora, kind of creepy, offers him a cigarette. You're just like a couple steps away from Dudley being in the comic book shop in Different Strokes. But yeah, it's but
wow.
it treats it bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, obviously, if you're a homosexual, you must be a pedophile because, obviously.
Right.
Because 50s and like, the fuck are you people thinking?
Yeah.
Like did you bother like looking at the actual like artwork that they were producing for themselves?
Right.
Like none of that involved teenage boys. Like, no. If you actually look at it, no, they're very clearly into men.
Yeah.
Like
they're adults with an adult
with an adult
sexuality.
Like, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, no. So Worth and Kefauver as Worthen's mouthpiece.
Yeah, kind of the legitimate,
the legitimator. Yeah. Made a huge big deal about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that had an impact on the way that developed in the comics. And now we're kind of getting toward the end of what I was actually able to get like notes on over the course of the week. So, in 41, well, first in 40, we see Clayface and Puppet Master show up. Okay. And I wasn't able to find any real information about the Puppet Master of 1940. Everything I found was about the ventriloquist, who doesn't actually show up until the 70s. So I don't have very much about that. But Clayface shows up early on. And it's interesting that in our modern era, we see Clayface as this very tragic figure because of the animated series, where the tragedy of his condition and Bruce Wayne's desire as Batman to try to find a way to help him, to find a way to cure him, is a really big deal and a really big part of that story. That's not there. In 1940, he's a shape-shifting criminal.
Sure.
No, he is a science fiction villain.
Right.
In the same vein as the evil scientists, that I've already mentioned. Hugo Strange and Dr. Death. They're sci-fi villains. He's a sci-fi villain. In his case, he has a super ability that he's using for evil. But again, he's a sci-fi villain, which now goes back to this being 1939, 1940, and we have, the World's Fair in New York, and we have, the first Worldcon, and we have this era in which, on the right we have futurism, and on the left we have the Futurians, who were actually excluded from the first Worldcon because they were explicitly leftist. Both groups are futurists, and they're both looking at, scientific advancement being, the way forward, and technology, being, building very different visions of utopia.
Mm-hmm.
And so this science fiction element is still there, is very much there throughout all of these stories. And of course, Batman, being a sci-fi hero, being a gadgeteer with all these, cutting edge technological tools at his disposal,
mm-hmm.
Is a big thing. So that's 1940. In 41, Scarecrow shows up for the first time. And again, just like you, wow. I was looking over the chronology going like, really? He's that old? Yeah. So yes, he is. Scarecrow shows up in 41, followed by later in 41, the Penguin.
Damn.
And I want to talk about them, and we're gonna kind of wrap up what I'm talking about in this episode with the Penguin.
All right. Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Let's talk about the Penguin.
Yeah.
Oswald Cobblepot.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So just a moment ago, I was talking about Tony
Oswald Chesterfield Cobblepot.
Chesterfield.
Yeah.
Cobblepot. You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I had forgotten his middle name. I was like, I'm not even going to try his middle. I don't want to screw up his middle name, so I'm just going to go with his first and his last name. But yes, Oswald Chesterfield Cobblepot.
Yes.
So just a minute ago, I was talking about Boss Zuko, Tony Zuko, and then in 42 we see the Maroni family for the first time show up. So we're going to be back to Italian gangsters, but for now, we're talking about an upper crust cigarette holder using top hat and monocle wearing Monopoly Man caricature.
Yes.
And he refers to himself as the gentleman of crime.
Mm-hmm.
His aristocratic bearing and Mayflower ancestry kind of background is a pivotal part of his character and is a pivotal part of his identification. Like, he as a character is like, no, you don't understand. You're all the hoi polloi.
Right.
I'm an aristocrat.
Right.
Like, you're all idiots. Like, number one, I'm smarter than you all. Number two, I'm just better than you. Because I'm a cobblepot.
Sure.
Now it's interesting. The inspiration for the character was actually a cigarette ad.
Yeah, Chesterfield.
Yeah. The cigarettes. They actually had a penguin with a cigarette holder in their ads as a cartoon character, and so Finger looked at that and went, "We that's too good. We got to do something with that."
Right.
And so, because to him, looking, white tie and tails, which is what Cobblepot always wears, looked to him like an emperor penguin, and he was like, "This is just too good visually for us not to use."
Right.
And so he is a crime boss. He is an upper class crime boss who works to do, at least early on, he works to give everything he does a patina of legitimacy while he's doing, skullduggery in the background. Like Batman, he's kind of a gadgeteer because his umbrella has either a gun or a knife blade or a dart gun
or a
helicopter blades,
gas.
like gas.
Big on gas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So he's a gadgeteer. He's a genius. He's one of the villains who consistently is able to keep up with Batman or occasionally even outthink him.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, he's clearly a caricature. He's clearly a comic book villain, but the Penguin, unlike the Joker, and unlike a bunch of villains we're going to get to going forward, he is entirely sane. He's totally in control of his actions. and his shtick is, I mean, aside from his visual shtick, his modus operandi is he's a crime lord.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a distinguishing trait of a large proportion of Batman's rogues gallery that in the end they are some variation on gangsters.
Yes.
Superman's villains lineup, murderers row, whatever you want to call it, is made up of monsters, primordial things from Dimension X, alien cyborgs.
Well, Superman is a good immigrant, and he's fighting the bad immigrants. Batman is a good millionaire, and he's fighting the bad millionaires.
Okay. Shit. Okay. Well, I'm done. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for coming to Damian's TED Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Because
sorry, did I just steal your thunder for the next 10 minutes?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, not real, but like you just managed to basically, find the rationale for all of it.
Yeah.
But the where I was going to go with it was narratively, you're dealing with the difference between somebody who is wish fulfillment in the form of a super normal,
yes,
and wish fulfillment in the form of godling,
a Superman,
an Ubermensch,
like Dionysian versus Persean almost.
Kinda. Yeah, I like that. There is
maybe
something
versus Jason. Like I'm trying to figure out what mortal he would. Odyssean.
Herculean versus Odyssean.
Yeah, there you go.
Hercules is a demigod who can literally change the course of a river's flow through brute strength, which like violates multiple laws of physics and like flow dynamics.
Yes.
And Odysseus figures out, okay, no, seriously, we're going to trick him.
Yep.
Like, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to build a horse.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't get me started. Don't fucking get me started on Odysseus. He was a one-trick pony. No pun intended, actually, there, but oh my God.
But it's good fun. It's a good pun.
It is. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, we're talking about Achaean bards. Like, how many tricks could they?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
He's a protean. In many ways, Odysseus is the ultimate beginning of the Batman archetype. He is the competent man archetype. Back in an era when there were only so many things that you could be competent in.
True. Very true.
Yeah. So like, okay. The tricky is okay. We're gonna disguise ourselves as some kind of beast, and he's not gonna notice us because we're hidden.
Right.
Okay. He's repeating the same trick, but like,
Yeah. It's been a while. So
yeah. We've
get it. Yeah.
We as a species have developed multiple tricks. In the same way, what's Hercules got? He's got, he's kind of invulnerable and he's super strong. What's Batman got? Invulnerability, super strength, super speed, heat vision, cold breath, flight. Hercules can't do that.
True. Well, Superman really couldn't at first either, but
no, it was fair. True. But in the myths we don't see Hercules jumping over anything. So
That's true. That's true.
Hercules was a white man, he couldn't jump. So
yeah, we typically see him yanking things or holding things up. That's
or holding things down.
Yeah. So
and I could get into like Hema nerddom about wrestling as the primordial martial art with the Herculean myths, but that's for another time.
Yeah.
But
okay, so back to Batman. He fights gangsters. Superman fights creatures.
Yeah. Superman fights monsters in the sense of the Titans.
Yeah.
Whereas Batman fights monsters in the sense of human monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And the Joker, again, early on, is a really great example of that, because he truly is monstrous. Like, in the early comics, it's really hard it's not so hard for modern readers in the 2020s to understand it, because the Joker has gone back to his roots and then some.
Mm-hmm.
But, anybody reading the Batman comics in the, 50s to the 60s would have a hard time understanding how evil the Joker was in the 40s. And so, in his at his roots, those are the forces that Batman arrays himself against. And, at this point in his development, the Penguin is in many ways kind of a very strong archetype for all of them, in that he is very clearly a three-color comic book character. He is a caricature. He is funny looking.
Mm-hmm.
He has a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
But again, at the end of the day, his super abilities are money, just like Bruce Wayne, and whatever plan he's able to come up with. And
it's Wayne's plan, and it's Batman's job to thwart that plan through better planning.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, at this point, that's kind of where I've gotten to.
Yeah.
With the development of the arc, and I think when I talk about it next, we're going to be getting into the 50s, which of course is going to get us into the CCA. And actually, even before then, after the war, there was already a shift in a less dark direction. And the colors getting brighter and the tone changing. And then it got accelerated and exaggerated by the CCA, because all of a sudden, Batman couldn't just let the bad guys fall into a vat of chemicals and say, "A fitting end for one like him," which of course is a quote from Detective Comics. The 27, his very first appearance.
Oh wow!
That's how the chemical syndicate winds up ending. Is the mastermind of the murder plot winds up falling into a chemical vat and dying some hideous, awful death.
Sure.
While the Batman stands over him and says, "A fitting end for one like him." Like, oh wow, okay, so you really are Vengeance and the Night. Holy crap!
Yeah.
You're not kidding. And so at this point in the character's development, that's kind of who he is. And it's really interesting to see the way that morphs going forward.
Sure.
And first changes in one direction and then changes really hard back, and then gets kind of Flanderized back from there. Until we wind up seeing the character that we have in the comics now, who, I'll get into that when I get into that. But
he's not the character we want, but he's the character we deserve.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. You have been watching the Nolan films. So that's at this point, that's kind of what I've got. In a condition to be discussed with any detail. What do you think? What is your take here?
Yeah, I think you're dead on with, he is what people wish millionaires would do with their money. He is the super normal. And I think there's a very important place for that in our lexicon of comic books and what have you. I think that what I said this time around is like, he is taking on his own people who are just the other side of the same coin for him, in the same way that Superman is taking on his own people who are the other side of the same coin for him. I think it's interesting because what we're looking at is the late 1940s. So you've got the Marshall Plan. You've got really high taxation. Pay your goddamn taxes, and we all do better. And so he's kind of, with fisticuffs, doing that for people who'd rather get around the law. And Superman is very much beating up on the wrong kind of immigrants, which is also a concern and a fear in the 1950s. But sticking to Batman, I think that, it's Batman in the 1940s. There's some gritty shit because there was a gritty war, and then there's the post-war stuff where he's, bringing people to justice who are trying to get around their civic obligations on some level. So I think that's an interesting thing. So my prediction is in the 1950s, he gets legitimized in some way, shape, or form, works with Commissioner Gordon a shit ton more, and then he's taking on the supervillain of the week, and always getting his man, because it was all about, well, it was the CCA, so it was all about conformity, and it was all about that.
It was about reinforcement of the legitimacy of authority.
Yes.
No subversive shit allowed.
Right.
Trying to think of just shit out of the Hays Code, basically, because it's the same thing.
Most of it was sex based, but yeah, you have to have the good guy win at the end of the time.
Yeah. And virtue is always triumphant.
Yep. And you can't have the cops be crooked in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And yeah. So Bodler would be proud. For those not in the know, boulderizing is to, change a story to make it somehow more moral, or, take immoral elements out of it. And most famously, Bodler was one of the people who insisted on changing the ending of King Lear for many decades, because, he believed that the good daughter dying was not fitting. She needed to be properly rewarded, and so he created a happy ending for King Lear.
Kind of takes the tragedy out of it, but okay.
Yeah, it kind of misses the fucking point. Yeah. So speaking as an English teacher, it's criminal, just like fucking criminal. But there you go. And it is boulderizing things is, of course, a trope, and that's what happened to all comics, period.
Yep.
In the 50s. Well, okay, that's not true. Many kinds of comics just fucking disappeared.
Yes. The ones that stayed. Yeah.
Superhero comics got Baudelarized really hard.
Yeah.
And Batman in particular. Mm-hmm. So, and next time we talk about this, the details of specifically what happened, we'll be able to get into.
Good. Well, for right now, what you reading?
Right now I'm reading a lot of student work.
Ooh. Do not recommend.
Do not one star. Do not recommend. And I'm only, the only reason I'm not saying 0 stars is because sometimes it gets so bad it's funny. But yeah, I don't have a book or anything right now to recommend. How about you?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna stray a little bit. I recommend Kingdom Come, but not as a comic, as an audiobook. It's really neat as an audiobook. I listened to it on cassette tape 20 years ago.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kingdom Come is a graphic novel.
Yes, it is.
Series.
Yes.
How do you turn that into an audiobook?
Really good voice work. A little bit of sound effects, but really good voice work. And it did a really good job. I don't know that I've actually ever read Kingdom Come, but I can tell you a lot of the details of it. Like in a similar fashion, like there's plenty of comics that I've read and I can tell you the same amount of detail having listened to Kingdom Come. But go listen to Kingdom Come. It's really cool.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. The recommendation I'm going to make right now is I'm actually going to recommend the Court of Owls storyline. from the more recent Batman comics. Because I think there are some elements in that series of stories that kind of bring Bruce Wayne and Batman kind of back to the roots of what you mentioned about, him being a millionaire who's fighting the bad millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
The Court of Owls storyline, I mean, it goes way over the top at the end, but there's some really good writing involved in it.
Nice. Okay.
I'd also, as a matter of fact, another time that it's Batman against a bad rich person. I'd also recommend looking into the origin of the character Hush.
All right.
Look that up, and that's definitely worth reading. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we see a little bit of Bruce Wayne's pre-trauma childhood.
Gotcha.
In that storyline, and it's pretty fascinating.
Okay. Well, so if anybody wants to argue with you on social media, where should they go?
Well, to hell, first of all. But if they really actually desperately need to find me to say something to me, hopefully something positive. But if you absolutely must say something negative, I can be found at Blaylock, both on the Twitter and on TikTok now. And on Instagram, I can be found at Mr. Blaylock, Mr. Blaylock, Blaylock. And if you want to shout at the two of us for some reason, hopefully praise, but whatever, you can find us at Geek History Time on Twitter. And where can they find you, sir?
You can find me every Tuesday night on twitch.tv/Capital Puns, slinging puns for the last 4.5 years. No sign of stopping. And you can also find me on the Twitter and the Instagram at @DaHarmony, 2 H's in the middle, on both the Twitter and the Instagram. So everything else is mine. That's for me to find. So for A Geek History of Time, I'm Damian Harmony.
And I'm Ed Blaylock. And until next time, na 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 na. Have a good night.